Mr. Joseph Deiss, President of the Swiss Confederation, Your Excellency, Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, friends. A very special welcome first to you, our members. But a particular welcome also to the government leaders among us, the intellectual leaders, the regional leaders, the religious leaders, the heads of trade unions, the media leaders and media fellows, and I should not forget our young leaders for tomorrow, our social entrepreneurs, and the representatives from the NGOs. To all of you, a very cordial welcome. This is the 34th annual meeting that I have the privilege to open. I would like to express my deep appreciation and gratitude to the Swiss authorities, and particularly also to the Swiss people, represented by President Joseph Deiss here, represented by the head of parliament, represented by the top people of the canton, of the community of Davos. I would like to thank them all on behalf of you for the hospitality, the great hospitality and the support which have been consistently offered to us. A special word of appreciation goes to the Davos population. In some way, we are the first international big meeting which has been endorsed by the people, because a referendum has taken place, a vote last October, and the people of Davos overwhelmingly endorsed and welcomed our presence here. Ladies and gentlemen, many books have been written about leadership. In my opinion, there are 4 ingredients which are the characteristics of a leader. To be a true leader means brains, soul, heart, and nerves. Brains to act with professionalism, soul to know what the mission is and what the values, the underlying values are, and the heart to act with passion in what we are doing. And finally, the nerves to deal with complexity and urgency. This annual meeting will be successful if we all engage and we apply those 4 leadership attributes. The brains, to work hard to advance the issues on the global agenda. The soul, to commit really ourselves to the mission of the World Economic Forum to improve the state of the world. The heart, to be engaged and to cultivate the spirit of Davos, which is a spirit of dialogue, a spirit of cooperation and not of confrontation. And the nerves, to cope with the stress of an extremely demanding agenda, reflecting all of today's global realities and urgencies. To provide direction to our sessions and discussions, we have chosen as a theme partnering for security and prosperity. Winston Churchill once said, "The optimist sees opportunity in every danger. The pessimist sees danger in every opportunity." In the first years of the 21st century, optimists have had little cause for cheer. Security and prosperity are under threat. Instability and conflict cloud our hopes for a better future. Despite many positive signs in the geopolitical area and the recovery in financial markets and in the real economy in the recent months, the world still feels like a dangerous, uncertain place. Many grave dangers challenge an optimistic view of the world: weapons of mass destruction, global terrorism, civil war, failing states, mass poverty, instabilities, and I could go on and on. One conflict in particular that could destroy global security and peace is religious, cultural, and ethnic antagonism, which is becoming increasingly manifest. Our number one objective here should be to avoid such a conflict, and I'm extremely honored that President Khatami has accepted to be with us at this opening to speak to us later on how we bridge those divides. As all the leaders know, with every risk comes opportunity. The opportunity to challenge old assumptions and divisions, the opportunity to develop new thinking and insights, the opportunity to form new alliances and partnerships, the opportunity for new leadership and new solutions. That's all what Davos is about. United here to shape the global agenda, we must all one basic fact: we will not have strong, sustained economic growth across the world unless we have security. But we will not have security without the promise of prosperity. Poverty breeds conflict, just as conflict breeds poverty. The Davos 2004 formula is easy defined, but is a challenge for us all. It is peace equals security and prosperity. And security and prosperity can only achieved through partnership. Here in Davos, we should demonstrate to the world that business, government, and civil society can form a true partnership to act together in the common interest. The shape of the 21st century is now becoming clear. It will be the century of hopefully an integrated world, as President Clinton told us at luncheon. The century where technology will not only impact on our lives, but will change our lives. The century of complete interconnectedness. The century where traditional boundaries between states and between different disciplines are increasingly blurred. The century of absolute transparency. The century of multi-ethnicity. In short, an age where stability and sustainability will always be put into question, and an age where leadership is continuously challenged. But it is also an age which offers the opportunity to create new levels of prosperity and security. It is our responsibility here during the next 4 days to transform as much as possible this opportunity into reality. Thank you. I have now the great pleasure and honor to introduce to you Dr. Joseph Deiss, the President of Switzerland.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear Professor Schwab, here in Davos, surrounded by several thousand soldiers and police, I believe we are rather well placed to be talking about security and prosperity. Security and prosperity concern us all. They are the cornerstones of life in human dignity. They require, on the part of governments and citizens alike, a strong commitment to democracy, the rule of law, dialogue, and partnership. Security, prosperity, we cannot achieve one without the other. But at present, they are far from being a reality for everyone. A great many countries are ravaged by unrest and civil war. Almost 1 million people suffer violent deaths every year. And around the world, there are some 100 million migrants and refugees. Poverty is even more widespread. Roughly 1.2 billion human beings are forced to survive on just $1 a day. Even industrial societies are not spared from poverty. Jobs seem less and less secure in Switzerland as elsewhere. The dividing line between the safe world of the rich and the unstable world of the poor is becoming blurred. In this time of terrorism, organized crime, and epidemics such as SARS, we can no longer afford to ignore what happens in other parts of the world. Today, in order to live in security, it is no longer enough to simply tighten airport controls. We have to think beyond the quick fixes. What are our obligations as decision makers in politics and business? Granted, security must be assured by the state. But all it takes is a single act of terrorism to put all that into question. The tensions in Iraq demonstrate just what fragile commodity security can be, especially in the face of individuals determined to advance their goals by creating a state of insecurity. The war served to eliminate certain threats, but only democracy and the rule of law are capable of bringing lasting security and prosperity. It is a long and difficult path, but it must be taken. We cannot say it enough. Peace is built on these foundations of democracy, rule of law, dialogue, partnership. It is true in each country and is equally true in the community of nations. The United Nations is the place to affirm these values. WTO also offers a means of achieving negotiated and shared solutions within a multilateral framework. The liberalization of trade is a powerful driving force for prosperity. However, this process cannot be conducted in a legal void. Switzerland is participating fully in the Doha round. We sincerely believe that all member states should have equal opportunity to express their views effectively. To that end, we are financing programs designed to promote negotiation skills. we also feel particularly strongly that the dialogue should continue. It is for that reason that I have invited the Director General of the WTO and the Ministers of Trade present here in Davos for an appraisal of where we stand today. Negotiations consist of demands, but also of concessions and compromise. Despite the difficulties encountered to date, I am confident that solutions will emerge and that the Doha round will be concluded. However, despite all these institutions and international plans of action, we often remain too slow in dealing with the security of a particular region or ultimately the planet itself. We should not be surprised if, for example, we are blamed one day for having been lax in addressing environmental problems. We must show more consistency and resolve in our actions. I appeal to the international community, in particular to the United States, to member states of the European Union, but also to my own country, Switzerland, to put greater effort into the prevention and resolution of conflicts and global threats within the rule of law and the principles of democracy. As I said a minute ago, we cannot have security without prosperity and vice versa. Therefore, I appeal also to the representatives of the business community to assume their share of social and ethical responsibility in their use of resources and in the creation of wealth. Let us not forget that economic activity is primarily designed to benefit people and not vice versa. Ladies and gentlemen, the conventional roles are well defined. The state provides security and a legal framework, and the private sector generates wealth. But I'm convinced in boosting the prosperity of nations and their citizens, there must be areas of shared responsibility. We must be open to the claims of civil society and work together to strengthen the rule of law and respect of democracy. I'm delighted that for several years now, the spirit of Davos has been moving in this direction. And I'm confident that this 34th annual meeting will bring the worlds of politics and business closer together towards an effective partnership for security and prosperity. Thank you for your attention. Welcome to Switzerland and Davos. And now, as Dr. Schwab invites us, let's get off our ties and go to work. Thank you very much.